back to Cindy's Library. This is Cindy, and today we are going to talk about uh, the American Revolution series by Nathaniel Philbrick. We start with Bunker Hill, a city, a siege, and a revolution. Then we go on to Valiant Ambition, George Washington, Benedict Arnold, and the fate of the American Revolution. And we end with In the Hurricane's Eye, the genius of George Washington and a victory at Yorktown. So this is not a complete history of the American Revolution. It doesn't talk too much about the politics, except in as much as politics affected George Washington directly. And there are several aspects it doesn't go into, like the Southern theater that was so crucial towards the end of the war, where Nathaniel Greene led Cornwallis on a merry chase through the Carolinas up to Yorktown, basically. And I'm sure there's other things it doesn't cover. But what it does cover is amazing. In Bunker Hill, well, we get everything that led to Bunker Hill and the aftermath. Basically, the beginning of the American Revolution and why, in some ways at least, it started in Massachusetts, and things that led up to Lexington and Concord, Bunker Hill, and we end with the British withdrawing from the siege of Boston. Valiant Ambition, well, we were already introduced to George Washington, but we basically follow the stories of two men, George Washington and Benedict Arnold, who on paper, at least at the beginning, seem very similar, but end up having very different outcomes. We get some political intriguing behind the lines about who should be general. We get the whole Canadian campaign and how disastrously that ended up for the British, in large part, to be fair, to Benedict Arnold. And in the aftermath of Benedict Arnold, we get Washington sitting, waiting and waiting and waiting for the French Navy to show up so he could do something, while other things were happening elsewhere. We get something of a larger picture to explain what was going on with both the French and British navies. And also, we get enough of a picture to understand why Washington was so insistent on the help of the French Navy. And, well, technically it doesn't end at Yorktown. There are some things to finish up after that. But by Yorktown, the British had basically lost North America. This, well, like I said, it doesn't cover everything, but it covers a lot. And Nathaniel, he has a wonderful narrative style. Let me give you an example, if I can find it. Preface. In the pages that follow, I hope to provide an intimate account of how over the course of just 18 months, a revolution transformed a city and the towns that surrounded it. This is the story of two charismatic and forceful leaders, one from Massachusetts, the other from Virginia, but it is also the story of two ministers, one a subtle, even Machiavellian patriot, the other a punster and a loyalist, a poet, patriot, and caregiver to four orphaned children, of a wealthy merchant who wanted to be everybody's friend, of a conniving traitor whose girlfriend betrayed him, of a sea captain from Marblehead who became America's first naval hero, of a bookseller with a permanently mangled hand who, after a 300-mile trek through the wilderness, helped to foresee the evacuation of the British, and of many others. In the end, the city of Boston is the true hero of this story. That is a sample of his writing. And yes, indeed, we do meet every single character that he mentions in the preface in the course of these pages. So, if you are interested in the American Revolution, especially the more military aspects rather than the political, although there's certainly some political here. Like I said, it goes into why everything happened to start everything off. You could do a lot worse than read this series, especially in this anniversary year for the Declaration of Independence. So, that is what I wanted to talk about today. I have several other videos I want to make. So, things should, knock on wood, be settling down. We'll hope that is actually the case. Anything else? Oh, yes, this is August 1st, Jane Austen, July. I did read the group read of Mansfield Park in July. Sadly, I did not read anything else related to Jane Austen. I do have a historical book I may be reading in the near future, or I should say, historical fiction about Jane Austen that I may be reading in August, but we will see where the wind blows, because the wind has been blowing more than I thought it would recently. Mostly good winds, but still winds. So, thank you so much for stopping by. I truly do appreciate it and sticking with me even through all of these interruptions and pauses. If you'd like to share something you've been reading for the 250th, or just something you've enjoyed reading this summer, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. So until next time, hope we all stay safe and healthy, and as always, happy reading.